Hi, this is Matthew Kenslow, and I want to make another Facts About Autism video from a first-hand perspective. This video is also in response to something that I've seen on social media. It says, sometimes those who don't socialize much aren't actually antisocial, they just have no tolerance for drama and fake people. So I just want to say that it is common for people with autism to really have a hard, difficult time of socializing, and that's due to shyness, bashfulness. And in fact, in my book, the longest chapter, I believe, is called Shyness and Social Interaction. So there's more detail about that in my book. I also have other videos pertaining to shyness and social interactions, I'm sure, and you could always ask me questions about maybe if you want more specific details about anything. I don't necessarily call people fake, or I believe it's implying that the people just say things that we may consider rude or vulgar, or something that shouldn't be said. When I read this quote, I'm like, once again, where did they meet me? Where did they interview me? Yes, it's extremely hard to socialize due to intense, shyness, but I feel like a different person than I was when I was in kindergarten, first and second grade. I do consider myself an ambivert. I'm not introverted severely, but I'm not extroverted as well. I've always kind of backed myself up against, the wall sometimes. And my eyes could be darting back and forth, my head spinning one way, and everything else could be spinning the other way. And I usually find myself waiting for people to come to me, which hardly ever happens because they may not recognize how I'm living and such. And then sometimes when people do come to me, it's only for a hi, sometimes a question or two, like how I'm doing and such, and then that's it. Sometimes I do get, into a good conversation. I love conversation. I love spending time with people. I'm not personally antisocial. I'm sure that a lot of people with autism are not antisocial. They're just, waiting for the right people to recognize them and to come to them themselves, because it's hard for us to go to the other person. I call it a block of nervousness. When I was writing my trilogy, that would be published sometime in the future, when I was writing it, I came up with the phrase, the block of nervousness, or term, or whatever you want to call it. And it just feels like a magnetic repulsion against me and other people. And I just can't seem to take that extra step. And what I'm worried about is, what if they think I'm invasively intrusive? What if they think, like, they could be a friend to me a lot, and then when I take the extra step, what if they get mad? What if they say, go away? Like, what are you doing here? And we're talking, okay? Or something like that. So you could just imagine, like, all my years going to youth group at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, or anywhere else, perhaps Royal Rangers, and I'm just nervous to take that extra step because I don't want to be treated how I was when I was younger. And like when I was younger, a lot of people did genuinely discriminate and treated me harshly for things that are beyond my control, and that sort of changed my perception and worldview. So, but also a reason why I may exclude myself from, groups of people, and I do find this to be true. It's because I just don't have tolerance for drama and fake people, I guess, quote unquote. I'm quoting from that image, that picture that I saw on social media, and I do find that to be true. A lot of people talk about things that I'm totally uninterested in, that I just don't want to engage in, especially in middle school and high school. A lot of people talk about things that I actually even believed and was raised and taught to be wrong, and that we shouldn't be talking that way, and such, if that makes sense. So I've seen, especially in school, relationships going on and I'm like, I don't really have any interest in that right now. When I grow older and, you know, get a degree and get a job, then yeah, I'll probably look into that type of, you know, social life, but not now and such. And I've also been peer pressured when I was, especially in high school, not too much, but you know, I've been pressured into something that I will not say here. I've been pressured into saying bad words, which I refuse to say bad words. A lot of people ask me, "Hey Matthew, have you ever said a bad word?" And I can't say that I haven't, but I just don't use that language anymore. And I hardly ever even used such language back in the day myself. That's probably what got me a lot of compliments in school. Like I was, okay, I'll go and tell the story now. Really briefly, it was after the youth group, and I walked upstairs, and I was about to leave. It was, you know, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. One of my friends turns around, and he just sees me, and then he walks over and just gives me a hug. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And it was like 5 or 10 seconds. Finally, he took a step back, and he looked at me in the eye and said, "Matthew, you're one of the nicest persons I've ever known." And that to me was a compliment, and I could go on saying more compliments, but you know, I always hate talking about myself. But anyway, the purpose of this video is to give a response to that. It's not an all-inclusive response. If you want more details, please post a question in the comments below, and I'll try and make a video about it. In fact, I probably will make a video about it, like, "Have this ever happened to me?" or "What do I think about this?" or "Could you respond to this quote that I've seen on social media that maybe I personally haven't seen." Anyway, I hope everything that I've said made sense. Again, and it's not just, you know, relationships or cussing or anything that I'm not interested. There's other things that I'm not interested in. Like when people have given me a hard time, that was like the worst time, and a lot of them were friends of mine, and this lasted non-stop for years for a lot of my friends, and I just didn't want to hurt them or offend them by saying how much they're offending me and such, and I just didn't or don't want to engage with some of the jokes or giving hard time that some of my best friends have been talking to me about. These aren't necessarily bad things that they were doing or saying, but it did hurt me at the same time. You know, the power of words sometimes. And oftentimes, you know, I don't understand it until afterwards. Sometimes I naturally get offended over certain things that people say when it was nothing really to be offended about. And it's like they really look and act like a type of person who is really, let's say, angry, but really they're just giving me and others a hard time, and I cannot differentiate the two. I can't tell the difference between the two oftentimes. And rare times when I confronted them, some of those rare times it didn't make a difference to them, and they still, you know, treat me not ideal. I'll put it that way and such. Well, anyway, again, if you want me to say anything about autism in a future video, or if you want me to expand on the part that I said in this video, please don't be shy to ask me, and I'd be glad to help. The purpose of this is to help the best I can from my first-hand experience. Just like right now, I am recommending you to check out other people's videos who have autism, Asperger syndrome, and listen from their first-hand perspective, because everybody has, you know, different insights of this incurable condition of autism. And hopefully one day, when we all work together, this world will be a much better non-discrimination place, you know? So anyway, have an excellent day, stay strong, stay healthy, stay happy, and see you in the next video.